Who do you say that Jesus is? This is one of the most important questions we can possibly answer in this life. Here, as we come to Matthew chapter 16, we're coming to a really important turning point in Jesus' life. Jesus has been doing ministry with his disciples around him. He's been teaching a lot of really great stuff. He's been doing some incredible miracles. And we look back at this early part of Jesus' ministry, and it's truly amazing. But then we see a little bit of a turning point here. He turns to his disciples, he gathers them together, and he asks them a question. He asks them to assess the situation around them. Let's look in verse 13. It says, "Now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, 'Who do people say that the Son of Man is?' And they said, 'Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets.' So the disciples tell him, well, this is what people are saying. People generally had a positive outlook on Jesus. He had his enemies for sure, but in general, people thought he was a really great guy. They compared him to the prophets of the Old Testament. They compared him to John the Baptist, who they all had a lot of respect for. So this is really, still today, is a really popular opinion of Jesus. Lots of people think that Jesus was a great guy who did some great things and taught some great things, but as positive as those things are, they're not quite right. They don't give us a full, accurate picture of who Jesus really is. Let's keep reading in verse 15. He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Jesus said, okay, everyone else thinks I'm a prophet, everyone else thinks I'm a great guy, but what about you guys? You guys that have been walking with me, listening to all of my teaching, watching my miracles, walking with me every single day, and you've seen me in private, you've seen me in public. Who do you say that I am? Verse 16, Simon Peter replied, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven." Peter responds to Jesus saying, "You're the Christ, the Son of the living God." Now, let's look at this. What does he mean? When Peter says, "You are the Christ," he's pointing back to all that Matthew has been trying to show us early in this book when he's using all of these quotations from the Old Testament. Peter is saying that Jesus is the promised Messiah, the one that the Old Testament was promising, the one that everything has been pointing forward to. It's all talking about Jesus. Jesus has come as the promised one to deliver his people from their enemies. Peter has a high view of who Jesus is. He's not just a prophet. He is the prophet. He is the Christ, the anointed one that was promised. But he wasn't just a human anointed one, right? He wasn't just a human Christ. The next thing Peter says is he is the Son of the living God. He makes this proclamation that Jesus is not just another man, but he is divine. He is the Son of God, the second person of the Trinity. It's not enough to say that Jesus was a great guy who taught a lot of great things, did a lot of good stuff, and an example that we should follow. No. Jesus is the Son of God who came to save his people from their sins. And anything less than that, if we believe he's anything less than that, it falls short of the truth of who Jesus really is. And Jesus, notice his response to Peter here. He says there's really only one way that people can actually know this. He says, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven." The Father who is in heaven is the one that revealed to Peter the fact that Jesus was the Christ, the fact that Jesus is the Son of God. If you are someone who believes this, if you believe that Jesus was the Christ, if you believe that Jesus was the promised one of God sent to save his people from our sins, you didn't think of that on your own. You weren't just clever enough to figure that out. God revealed that to you. This is such a turning point in Jesus' life because of what happens next. Jesus tells them what it means for him to be the Christ. Verse 21, from that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it from you, Lord. This shall never happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Jesus tells them what's going to happen. He says, look, we're going to go to Jerusalem and they're going to kill me. And Peter's not having it. Peter doesn't understand, because the Christ is supposed to come and conquer their enemies. But the way that Jesus was to conquer our enemy was to take our enemy, our sins, was to take them to the cross and to bear them on our behalf. Jesus came as the Messiah, the promised one, to deliver us, but it was through his death on the cross that he would deliver us. But he also promises that there is hope, that he would rise again and that he would set up his kingdom ultimately. The next verse that I don't have up here, but verse 24, shows our response to that. Jesus says, if you're going to be my disciple, you've got to follow that same path. You have to deny yourself, you have to take up your cross, and you have to follow me. So my question is who is Jesus? Who do you say that he is? Is he the one that is worthy of you denying yourself, taking up a cross, and following him? Or is he just a good guy, another teacher? It makes a world of difference in our lives.